Hey, double hey, San Francisco Bay, Monterey. My name's Alexander.
And I'm Dr. Shasta.
And we're having fun here at the studios at KIYS Radio with Your Healthy Living.
Yep.
Here in Campbell.
Yes.
Shasta is a wonderful, basically acupuncturist.
Natural medicine doctor.
Natural medicine. You do more than acupuncture.
I do. We do 5 different branches to Chinese medicine.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Nutrition, herbs,
and I think
supplements, exercise.
It's important to realize that there's 5,000 years of data for this kind of stuff. So it's not just something that's fly-by.
Right.
We really need to understand that, right?
Yeah. And I know you do a lot with money, wealth management here.
Been doing it for 25 years.
Both of us, yep.
Money concepts. Love the business. Love my clients. Dave Ramsey's a good fan of mine. We're Dave Ramsey certified.
And we're here to promote and highlight positive things that people are doing in our local and global community. So we have Kabir Macdow.
There you go.
Kabir Macdow.
Good. That's kind of weird.
This.
We're going Indian, Scottish,
exactly.
Scottish. I like that.
He's got his master's in education and bachelor's in child psychology, and he is the principal of Living Wisdom High School in Palo Alto. And we actually go to the same church.
Yes.
It's
right.
Ananda
Yes,
Church. Right. And we're having him back, as I read in The Week magazine 2 weeks ago, that for teenagers in America, we have the 57th country worst amount of suicide for teenagers here in America. Mm-hmm. We're 57th in the world. And that actually teenagers, it's an actually dangerous place for teenagers to be in America at this time.
I get that.
And so I just think it's extremely important to highlight what else is possible, what's so, and why someone like Kabir is creating this high school to have an alternative and create a new possibility for education for our children.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So, I'm committed to happy, healthy families. I know you are.
Oh, totally.
I know you are.
I got 2 of them.
Yes, and you do a beautiful job. And
thank you.
Welcome, Kabir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming back.
Pleasure to be here.
Sure. Yeah.
It's always fun to have an intellectual on the show.
Where? Who else did you invite?
So tell us a little bit about where your philosophy has come from, who your teacher is, what your teacher was committed to teaching in America.
Well,
of course,
be very happy to do that.
Yes.
Because as I go into education, as I've been working all these years, I actually started trying to search for a direction to take with education. I first attended the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and went into education, and it was empty and hollow to me, basically. And then I went into child psychology and started to understand, okay, there's something more inside of each individual. And when I was studying there's a conscious element to that person and a subconscious element, and how do we work with all that? And one day I was with a little child, a 4-year-old, and she was mentally, she had some disabilities, and we would say then retarded, and she was not able to function at all. She just was drooling, and she was just so sad all the time. And I picked her up in my hand and lifted her up, expecting her just to start to drool in my hand, and she looked down at me for the first time and had joy in her eyes and had a smile on her face. And I said, there's something more in this person.
Yeah.
And this little child that we have been assuming is a person who does not feel well or is not functioning.
That's such a powerful story.
to be able to look deeper.
To be continued about my
Yes.
Yeah, we'll be right back
Thank
after
you.
this break talking more about this powerful story.
At Way of Wellness, we help to rebalance the hormones of your body so that it can heal itself. Way of Wellness offers acupuncture, Chinese medicine, functional nutrition, Qi yoga, and wellness coaching. Call 408-615-1995 and start living the life that keeps us well.
Hey, everybody, my name's Alex Andrew.
And I'm Dr. Shasta.
And we're back with Your Healthy Living, talking about some really interesting stuff involving children
and
growing up,
school.
having issues.
And we're here with Kabir Macdow. He's the principal of Living Wisdom High School.
I love that name, Living Wisdom. I love it.
Indeed.
Yeah. So tell us about the history of how this school came to be.
Well, back in 1970, early 70s, 67, 72, between that time, there was a fellow Nitai who felt inspired to start education at this community called Ananda. And it's a spiritual community, and it was based on the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. Yogananda is a great avatar, a self-realized master from India, and he came to America in the 1920s. And he was, even as a teenager, he was inspired to start a school. And he started two in India. Then when he moved to America, he continued that ideal, that inspiration to work with not only adults in meditation and Kriya Yoga and so forth, but how to influence the family in a positive way and the children, realizing that we all have great challenges, and education needed to shift from something that was focused on the industrial age and so forth into something that inspired people to grow and to become all they can be. For what I was talking about before, not only the subconscious and conscious development, but in fact what he talked about was the superconscious, that we all have this higher level of development and of understanding, of wisdom, living wisdom,
right,
and that we can draw on that. And so this school started based on those teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. And at that point, it was called a How to Live School and Ananda School. And then eventually, one of his students, Swami Kriyananda, or J. Donald Walters, wrote a book called Education for Life. And in the 70s and 80s, this really started to catch on.
Wow, that's that old.
This was in the 80s.
Oh, that was in the 80s.
And even before he wrote that, though, he was working with us on developing this approach, taking the understanding that he gained from Paramahansa Yogananda and applying that to education, and realizing the aspect that we are not only working with children or in education as we might have assumed in the past, where we're trying to give them information and knowledge and so forth. Mm-hmm. Actually, educare is the Latin root of education, which actually means to draw out and not to put in.
Right.
And Yogananda and Donald Walters, Swami Kriyananda, deeply understood that from experience. And so what we're trying to do is to recognize in education the strengths, the abilities, the depth of understanding and wisdom that resides in every single one of us, even the youngest child. Now, that youngest child can't necessarily manifest it and express it or be
They're
aware of it.
They're still forming themselves.
It's still forming that deeper understanding. The brain is still developing, which is also an instrument for that to come through. But there are so many steps of development that we can support in even the youngest child. And so Yogananda had written something called the Psychological Chart, and he also wrote something called The Balanced Life, which sort of provided a curriculum for our approach to education in a balanced way, working with the body and with the mind and developing concentration and positive attitudes and so forth, and with the social element, trying to help our children to mature, to become more aware of each other and them others other than themselves, and spiritual awareness as well. Tapping into who they actually are. And a teacher or a parent also needs to have that understanding to be able to transmit that, to draw that out.
So there's got to be some training going on here on the teacher level, and I got to guess there's got to be workshops or something for the parents, because most parents may come into this whole thing as like, whatever. I don't know what's going on.
And you happen to be up in the hotbed of severe stress, anxiety, and the most cluster suicides in the United States of America happened in Palo Alto. And actually, Silicon Valley, since 2003 to 2015, has had 232 teens age suicides. We actually have an epidemic problem here. And Kabir, you were at Stanford last month.
That's a few months ago.
A couple months ago. And tell us a little bit about what was...
Interestingly, I went to a conference there, and it was run through a counseling group there that has a great deal of concern about what's going on. It was shared that over 3,000 kids in the Silicon Valley area were contemplating suicide last year, over 3,000. And it's, as you said, it's an epidemic. It's a severe issue. And many are ended their lives this way. And it's I actually went to a board meeting, a school board meeting at Palo Alto High School, and it was after another unfortunate suicide. This was not too long ago, and the student had stepped in front of a train, and the parents were all wondering why this is happening again and again, and the school really did not have much of an answer to that. You know, they want to provide more counseling and support and so forth. But as one teacher said, well, a parent said, well, it's like putting on a gas mask, giving them a gas mask, but you're not removing the gas. What do we do?
Right. It's the environment.
It is the environment and the kind of direction that's being given to the kids. The focus on just the grades versus their development of their whole self. Yeah. And all children want to develop to their fullest potential. They want to be
some
happy
of them
inside.
may excel in an academic, and some may not, and to be celebrated for whatever their gift is.
Yes, that's right. Exactly.
So I got to guess this is a public school issue in general. I mean, I'm not exactly sure what the statistics are, of course. For example, my oldest kids went to a parochial school until they were 8 years old, and I mean 8th grade. I'm sorry. And by the time they were in 8th grade, it was like, oh my gosh, okay, here we are in public school, and for them it was a breeze. So is this a public school issue, or is it, is it combined on the parochial side?
I think it's also combined. It has to do with.
Sounds like pressure.
It's absolutely about pressure. And there's a lot of pressure on schools to have students who are achieving at very high levels, with the assumption and hope that if they achieve high grades and high scores, one, that gets recognition for the school and draws more students, and then also, and even in the private schools, and that it also indicates a probability that they'll be able to go to the college that they want to, that they can get the jobs they want to, that they can have the income that they want to, all equaling happiness, they hope. And that's where the problem is.
And the CDC,
what is real happiness?
The CDC actually also mentioned that bullying is a big factor in these suicides.
Yeah, I got to guess that's probably true.
And I just think that when people are unhappy aren't feeling their full self being realized and being supported, they'll act out in different ways that may hurt others, and actually it's hurting them too. They're both getting hurt.
They're suffering.
They're
already.
both getting hurt.
They're really
so
suffering.
it's not just people getting bullied. The bullies are hurting too.
Yes.
But so my question kind of comes back to what has changed since we were in high school, or I was in high school. I went to high school in the 70s.
Well, we have a lot of use of social media and technology, and cyberbullying is what's changed in the last 10 years.
There's a removal of the actual one-on-one contact in being able to hide behind
and they say
anonymity.
Cyberbullying is much worse than bullying for children because more people can see it. It's more impersonal, and for those children who are already suffering some, when it's said like that, they actually can believe it. They don't have a really strong sense of their core yet, that's what Yogananda and these deep spiritual practices are about. Is about connecting to the inner oneness that we all are.
So I got to guess that the earlier you start at this with the Yogananda aspect, the more prepared they are to handle the bullying and all of that kind of stuff. So that we need to really start this in like Montessori, if you will, right?
Well, actually, we can. You touched on it before. It's also including the parents in this,
right?
And even as they are raising their little ones, there's a way to help to direct that energy in the way that's going to help them grow.
It's fascinating.
Really is.
Be happy.
It's really exciting.
We're going to talk a little bit more after this commercial break. Stay tuned. You're watching Your Healthy Living on the KIYS Kindness in Your Soul Network.
I do traditional Chinese medicine, and that includes 5 different branches: acupuncture, massage, yoga, tai chi, qigong, herbal medicine, and nutrition. It is amazing in helping the body heal itself, that it releases the body's natural endorphins, serotonin, and seems to rebalance the hormones of the body.
Lower back pain was taken care of very quickly. 6 treatments and I was pain-free. And this was like 3 years ago and I've remained pain-free.
I've grown up in the Bay Area and I have had my own practice for over 15 years. When I was 12, I decided I want to be an acupuncturist, and by the time I was 25, I was licensed.
I have thyroid condition and stress, big time. When I walk out, I'm feeling like a whole different person. It's definitely a blessing to be able to come here.
I love helping women have babies, and the day that they actually get pregnant, the look in their eye is like, it's the best thing ever.
I've been struggling trying to get pregnant for the past 3 or 4 years. I came to Shasta. I would totally recommend her to anyone out there that is trying to get pregnant. She will do great for you.
Way of Wellness has to do with living a life that keeps us well.
Hi there, this is Alexander with It's All About the Show. You know, I've been with Money Concepts since 1994, and they have been the primary catalyst for my success as a financial advisor. If you're looking for a career change and you want to help people for a living, check out moneyconcepts.com/ALEE or call 946-8378 today.
Hey there, everybody. My name's Alex Andrew.
And I'm Dr. Shasta.
And we're back with Your Healthy Living, talking about education, preparing kids for understanding life as soon as possible, and helping them be able to prepare for all the things that life has to offer, especially when we get into high school.
Yes.
Right.
And we're here with Kabir Macdow, who is the principal for Living Wisdom High School in Palo Alto. Thank you. So, share us, we were going to talk about what happened at the Stanford meeting.
Oh, yes. To finish that little bit of the story, there were students representing every high school in the area, and one after the other would stand up and say that they're really excited about working really hard, at least when they started, and then over time they get more and more discouraged and realizing that they can't achieve the highest expectations that everyone has for them, highest GPA. So much of the focus is on GPA. And that secondly, they're not feeling fulfilled. They're not getting what they really need to have in their education, which is to develop who they are.
The joy of learning.
Touch them.
Right.
In fact, to learn about themselves, to learn about the world, learn how to, it's all about learning actually, not test scores.
Right.
And so they were very discouraged. And I had a turn to speak, and I shared, well, there are options. And one is, it doesn't work as well in a class with 40 kids. So we really, for our school, we support having maybe as much as 15, 20 kids tops. 12 is the ideal, actually. So smaller classes and teachers who are trained to work with the children to recognize their strengths, where students can come in and say, well, in fact, I had a student yesterday I met with, and just asking her, what do you want to do with your life? What would you do, if you could? And together, and she expressed that, and together we said, let's develop your curriculum, your personalized learning plan around what you feel in your heart. Now let's make sure we get into the academics. You're going to college. We're doing the California University approved courses, and it's accredited and so forth. That's important. They need to be able to get into the university of their choice, including Stanford. But if they're motivated, if they're able to really follow their hearts and their inner souls, if I may, that the motivation is high and the brain is functioning at a more clearly and at a higher level of understanding and guidance. So she's able to do that. All of our students are able to do that. Pick an area that they just really want to do. That we call it the personal specialization project.
And you said that you have mentorship program with
every student has a mentor. So they meet with their mentor every week to see how they're doing in all their courses, how are they doing overall. One of the most important questions that we can ask in those meetings are 1 to 5, how are you enjoying math, or how are you enjoying this and that? And they're always at 4s and 5s, and if they're not, then if it's even a 3, we'll say, okay, let's fix it. What's happening? And so we work together to create something that is expressive of who they are. helping them to discover, more about themselves.
I think that's so
important.
The aspect of being able to create something inside of a child's mind that is about them. It's not just punishment, because I'm thinking of when I was in high school. It was like, for me, it was kind of punishment by the time I got to 10th grade. Yeah. I was a great student. I was a good kid. I did my stuff. By the time I hit 10th grade, I was like, I don't really want to do this.
What's it all for? Yeah.
What am I doing? Where am I going to go? And I was good at math. I mean, I'm a financial advisor. I've been doing it for 25 years. Yeah. I really wish I would have pushed that a little bit more in high school, but I didn't.
Explored it.
Explored it, right. But I didn't have the mindset to be able to do that, or the support. And I think that is so key. And how can we figure out a way to get this into the mainstream? Because obviously
that's important.
We're talking about fringe here.
Because I was blessed to have teachers that did meditation every morning since second grade on.
Well, you lived in Santa Cruz, right?
No, I was up in Siskiyou County. Jim and Suzanne Jennings, a beautiful couple who did a lot of yoga, came up and created a very unique individualized program for us, and we're all about, what were our gifts. And so I think that's why I'm a doctor of acupuncture, and I've been a pioneer, because I had teachers like that. Right. And I went to Mount Madonna School with Baba Hari Das, and it's similar to the theories of yoga and meditation and bringing out your gift.
There's something to say about getting inside yourself, because I think too much of what the mainstream educational system is about changing everybody else to be able to make it happen. I mean, as a student, it's like, I don't know, maybe it's just
like, how
me.
do you, it's people
How
wanting
do I
to
fit in,
rather than who am I?
Right.
Yes,
I can't fit into this, so what am I supposed to do? They need to change to accommodate me instead of going inside. I mean, is that close to kind of what you're talking about?
Absolutely. When they tap into who they are, it is about strength, and it's about magnetism and enthusiasm for life.
Right. And you said
that changes everything.
You were speaking at Stanford, and you said something, and one of the other professors said, "You know what?
That's
so
right.
share
you
a little
hit the
bit
nail
about,
on the head.
Yes, tell us about
that. And the
that.
students were also saying, "Oh, I only wish we could have that. It would make life so much better for us." In fact, I went to Palo Alto High School this morning. I just have to say this too, that I met with some of the staff there and had an opportunity to observe a little bit, and every person that I met, every adult and every teacher or in the administration, actually they're very caring people. They all want to do the right thing for their students. And so there's no issue around the quality of the people in our schools. The teachers all have hearts.
Well,
and
I beg to differ on that.
Oh, okay.
Well, I think
the
majority of people are, but the system itself,
it tears them down.
We have an issue right now with school bonds and parcel tax measures that if you read an article called Silicon Valley Billionaires and the Remaking of America's Schools, there's some real special interest groups that are targeting schools. And some of the administrators and such may be looking the other way.
Well, I
in
guess
regards
I'm focusing
to
more on the teachers.
Yes,
in this case.
I'm talking about administrators. Okay,
that could be. In fact, sometimes they fall into that trap too.
Well, hey, they got it. It's like the CEOs.
Money.
You got to look after the shareholders.
And in that case, some of them may
shareholders.
want to have a squeaky clean looking situation while they're brushing things under the rug, so taxpayers will pass these school bond measures. We've had $20 billion since 2015 in California on school bond measures.
For the schools,
right. So, I mean, there's that whole climate issue going on too, and I'm not saying that's the teachers. And you don't have anything to do with that. You're not part of any school bond and parcel tax.
But I'm aware of it.
But it's important for parents to know about this
that. Yes.
and to advocate for their children's rights.
But how do we get it into the mainstream? Because obviously what we're talking about is creating a mindset in the student initially before they're out there, trying to figure out what the heck they're doing in their classes.
Yeah, Kabir, what are some of your thoughts?
Well, here's an example. Our students have just been invited to go to Scotland to attend up in North Scotland, Finhord community, to attend a special program, a conference on climate change and consciousness. And our students are going to join with other students. And we're going to learn about that and work very hard to, even throughout this next year, to be prepared for that conference. When we come back, we're going to go out into the schools and share that. And so it starts with one or two people sharing what they know and that consciousness and that understanding that they've gained, and drawing more people to that,
right.
and even adults and others. So teens need an ideal to work toward.
Right.
And something positive.
Yes.
If they don't have that, they're going to go towards something with all that energy.
Right.
So we'll try to develop positive experiences for them. We can work a little bit that way. We're forming clubs in our school that will invite other kids to come and attend.
And can teachers come and learn from you some of these?
We do have teacher training programs as well,
Great.
And parenting courses.
And how can people get a hold of you, Kabir?
Well, just write. My email address is Kabir, Kabir, at Living Wisdom High School, all one word, .org.
Great.
And that'd be fine. I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, I think the key is trying to figure out how to solve the depression of the children and the bullying, the stress.
By them
of
having
GPA,
other things that pull them forward that they love, right? Like what you've done with your kids.
Yes.
All of your kids are thriving.
That's because I always said, hey, you can be whatever you want to be. Just
and
let me know.
They're all very
we're
dynamic.
here to assist you. Yeah. And when kids know that there's assistance available, a lot of them just give up.
Yeah.
And
all of your kids
get
are
angry,
amazing.
and that's where the bullying comes from.
Exactly, the bullying and whatever else that comes out of it. And
that's right.
And I'm so happy that you're pursuing this, and
thank you,
and really honored.
Well, it's part of a mission.
Have you on.
To all of us work together to help to change education in America and around the world.
It's so great. Thank you so much, Kabir, for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Again for joining us on Your Healthy Living. Don't forget to tune in to the KIYSradio.com website. Look at all our shows. Like us on Facebook. Give us a few stars if you can on Facebook at KIYS Radio. So have a great night, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye.